wait to meet him. We've heard he's such an amazing guy. He has a strong faith. He loves his wife. He's talked about some of the struggles of them creating their family. They had a miscarriage. Loves his mom. His wife's on bed rest because she's pregnant with twins. He loves Folds of Honor.
Patriot, too.
Yeah.
The more I read about him last night, the more impressive he is. Really amazing guy.
Great guy. I got to meet him at a Folds of Honor dinner about 2 years ago. Listen, we asked you after we played the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson inspiring quote what some of yours are. We actually discovered that Gary Woodland posted this. This is one of his inspirational quotes. "Enjoy the stress. Enjoy being uncomfortable. Don't shy away from it. Embrace it." Well, you know what? He had plenty of that on Sunday.
Yeah, he did. Congratulations to him. We asked you to send in your favorite quotes, and Vanessa sent in this. "When you focus on the good gets better."
Oh, that's good.
Love that.
A tweet from Tad. He said, "Keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground," which is a quote from Teddy Roosevelt.
And a tweet from Melody. "When life gives you lemons, you do make lemonade."
That is so
This
true.
is a tweet from Ted. "Character is not taught, it is revealed." Oh, that's good.
It is. All right, keep sending them. We're going to read them all morning long. friendsoffoxnews.com. And, of course, we're on Facebook.
My dad always said there are two things that no one can take away from you: your character and your reputation.
Dad was a smart man.
Good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
He has a lot of them.
One thing
Thanks.
you can't take away from Dan Bongino, his steak. Did you see him gnawing on that
Are you getting
during
some
the commercial?
You're getting text
See, it was
messages
just
from all
like
your friends?
getting over the steak. It was, I mean, that was really a transformative moment in my young life. I don't know if you know how good that steak. You ate a piece, right?
No, I did. It was
Okay.
delicious. What do your pals from the Secret Service say?
I have an old friend in the Secret Service. I kid you not, his nickname was Steak Bone because all he ate was, and he, what does he text me? Steak in caps with exclamation points. He was tuning in for the steak segment. You can't go wrong with that.
Oh, you gotta love men.
What'd you say to me? I am so easy to please. Just give me a steak. I'm gold.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, coming up in the next hour, Dan, because he's living all his dreams today, will actually be involved in hand-to-hand combat.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be good.
Oh, yeah. Jiu-jitsu? Is that how you
Oh, yeah.
say
My buddy.
jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be fun.
All right. In the meantime, news of the day. President Trump kicking off his 2020 campaign in Orlando, Florida today. People lined up almost 2 days before the event outside the Amway Center.
That's right. The president says his campaign has received 100,000 ticket requests, but guess what? The Amway Center holds 20,000, so a lot of people will be camped out outside watching it from the TV screens.
And Lauren Blanchard's in the Sunshine State, my home state right now. Lauren, people have been camped out for days. Is that right?
Yeah, good morning, Steve Aisley. Dan, take a look at this line. Now that the sun has come up, more and more people are coming through. You can see it all down this street, across this parking lot. Hundreds of people have come out. They have been camping. They've brought their chairs. They've brought their tents. They have brought all of their signs, everything. Let's take a quick chat with George and Sue. So real quick, they are from Florida. Why did you guys decide to come out here? You've been here since 4 in the morning?
Yeah, we've been here early. We left 4 in the morning to get here. We're just happy to support Trump because he's done so much for the country. The last 2 administrations, jobs disappeared, the economy was down, people had their houses foreclosed on. With him being here, we've had jobs brought back to the country. People are making money. There's more people employed now than ever. He's got to be able to continue this growth. If someone else gets in there that's not in that agenda, we'll go back to the way we were.
All right, and Sue, what are you hoping to hear tonight from the president?
I just want to watch him kick some booty.
Okay, guys, so as you mentioned, only 20,000 tickets, 100,000 people signed up for them. These folks most likely going to make it in for the rally, but for all of those who can't get in there, they're going to have what's called 45 Fest. There will be big screen TVs, food trucks, concerts. Also, they'll be able to see the event themselves. Back to you.
All right, Lauren Blanchard in the line outside the Amway Center down in Orlando. You know, I've got a feeling that the President of the United States tonight during his big kickoff is going to be talking about our next news story. And it is a Fox News alert. The president tweeted out last night that apparently ICE is going to start the process of deporting millions of people who are in this country illegally.
This is what he tweeted. He said, next week, ICE will begin the process of removing the millions of illegal aliens who have illicitly found their way into the United States. They will be removed as fast as they come in. Mexico, using their strong immigration laws, is doing a very good job of stopping people long before they get to our southern border. Guatemala is getting ready to sign a Safe Third agreement. The only ones who won't do anything are the Democrats in Congress. They must vote to get rid of the loopholes and fix asylum. If so, border crisis will end quickly.
Okay, so the question is, who is he talking about? You know, we've heard estimates there are 12 million people who are in this country illegally. There was an administration official who spoke anonymously to one of the newspapers here in New York. They say that they're going to focus on the 1 million people who have been deported but are still here. But Dan Bongino, you've been in law enforcement your whole life.
Yeah.
Typically, a large-scale operation like this is kept secret so you don't tip people off.
Yeah, and what we saw with the Oakland mayor, remember the Oakland mayor, who was, of course, was liberal, who tipped off locals that there were going to be, in fact, immigration raids on people here illegally. So you're right. It's not that we haven't seen this before, but such a large-scale operation, not dialed down to one specific area, you know, at this point, I think kind of the cat's out of the bag.
They're also announcing, the State Department's announcing that they're going to cut off aid to those 3 countries, those Central American countries. But they said, I mean, this is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, because they're saying if you're not going to listen to us and you're still going to come up here and send your people up here and not enforce the laws, then we're not going to continue to give you money. But they said roughly $400 million worth of aid that's already approved for projects in 2017 and 2018 in those countries will continue. Morgan Ortagus is the State Department spokesperson now, and here she is.
We will not provide new funds for programs in those countries until we are satisfied the Northern Triangle governments are taking concrete actions to reduce the number of illegal migrants coming to the U.S. border. Working with Congress, we will reprogram those funds to other priorities as appropriate. This is consistent with the President's direction and with the recognition that it is critical that there be sufficient political will in these countries to address the problem at its source.
So that's interesting. You know, you're talking about real money. Keep in mind, it was a couple of weeks ago the President of the United States said, hey, Mexico, we're talking about 5% tariffs unless you start doing something. And this should get their attention. One other note regarding the removal of the illegals. Apparently, the administration has been pushing the Department of Homeland Security to get to do something like this for a number of months. And in particular, it looks like they're trying to remove those whose deportations orders were expedited by the Department of Justice as part of a plan known as the Rocket Docket.
Well, we've already seen that upwards of 90% of people making asylum claims who get a court hearing don't show up. Yeah. So if there's no penalty at the end, then what's the point? We effectively have no border at all. So it looks like another win for President Trump on this issue.
Well, if you're an illegal immigrant, you know where to go. Many of them are heading to California, where they're talking about giving you free health care if you're an illegal. There's 7 states plus D.C., I believe, that are saying if you come here, you can get a driver's license. And Bill de Blasio, our New York City mayor, is also running for president. He agrees with that. Everyone should get a driver's license. He put this on Twitter. Could we roll that up so I could see what he wrote on Twitter? Oh, it's a soundbite. Okay, listen to this.
I believe in driver's licenses for all. I believe that all New Yorkers, regardless of documentation status, need to be able to get a license the right way. It's about fairness, but it's also about safety for all of us and for our families. Right now, what's happening just isn't safe. We have a chance to fix that in Albany. I ask everyone to weigh in. Driver's licenses for all. It's fair, it's smart, it's safe.
Okay, so that's what he says. He's the mayor.
Did you hear him? He needs a better microphone.
Well, that's New York.
It's like standing in traffic and talking.
The reason it's a big story is because it actually passed the state Senate in the past couple of days, and the governor, Andrew Cuomo, who said he might not sign it, actually did sign it. It's going to go into effect in 180 days, so the first driver's licenses for people who are undocumented will be available in December. Here's the thing. In New York State, according to a recent Siena poll, more than 50% of New Yorkers were against giving undocumented people.
And what an affront to people who came here legally, followed the rules, contributed to our country, loved this country, put their hand over their heart. We showed pieces of an immigration ceremony yesterday. I went to it with my own wife. It was one of the more meaningful moments in my life. I mean, you can't sit there and not shed a tear. But what an affront to those people. What's the point? Just walk in, you get a driver's license,
Some of those people
free
didn't
college.
see their kids for years. Some of those people were here as citizens. They were trying to get their families over and couldn't see their kids.
And suffered greatly to do it and do it by the rules. It's really a shame.
Well, the people who support it say it will actually make the streets safer because to get the driver's license, you have to have insurance on the car, and the car has got to be inspected, which in many cases they are not.
Well, encouraging illegality and saying it's going to make things safer, I think, is a bold stretch.
So what do you think? Email us, friends@foxnews.com.
Do you really think illegals who are here illegally, who broke the law to get here, are going to follow the law and get insurance?
Bingo.
That's the idea. That's the premise. All right, friends@foxnews.com, or we're on Facebook.
All right, Jillian has some headlines for us. Hello.
Good morning, and we begin with a Fox News alert now. So let's start with this. The Pentagon is sending 1,000 additional troops to the Middle East as brand new images show the aftermath of tanker attacks linked to Iran. Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan says the troops will, quote, address air, naval, and ground-based threats in the region. It comes ahead of Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's high-stakes meeting with CENTCOM commanders today. A discharged Army private is killed by brave police officers in Dallas. The suspect opening fire outside a federal courthouse just days after saying a storm is coming on Facebook.
Through. Holy crap.
The FBI calls the responding officers heroes. No one else was killed or seriously injured. Look at this photo on the left side of your screen. A photographer who took that photo almost came face to face with the gunman. You see him in this video hiding from the shooter.
I just crouched in a corner and tried to make myself as small as possible, and just prayed that he didn't walk past me. If he saw me sitting there with a camera, he would. I have no doubt he would have shot me.
Oh, so chilling. The shooter's motive is unknown. A manhunt intensifies after illegal immigrants escape a detention center in broad daylight. ICE officials say 3 men scaled a 15-foot fence and wall at a facility in Aurora, Colorado on Sunday. Police didn't respond for 30 minutes because they were busy with other calls. One of the escaped men is a suspect in a rape case and has a criminal conviction for trespassing. The Broadway show Hillary and Clinton is closing its curtain, the play ending a month early after poor ticket sales.
Let's only improve a role. They tend to always improve a role, not diminish it.
The play starring Laurie Metcalf and John Lithgow is a fictional story about the former first couple during Hillary Clinton's first presidential campaign in 2008. The last show will be on Sunday. Send it back to you.
Gotta hurry if you want to see it.
Yep.
Okay.
Cancel that
Sign
one
up.
for me. Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm good.
13 minutes after the top of the hour. Outrage growing in one community as a teenage girl's killer is about to be freed from prison. The county executive says justice for the family has been stolen, and he joins us live next.
I think about these guys getting out. And you know, neither one of them have expressed any remorse. And neither one of them have taken responsibility. And if they don't own up to what they've done, then when they get out, what's to keep them from doing it again?
Hundreds of protesters marched in the dark this weekend using candles to light up the same path taken by 16-year-old honor student Paula Bohoveski the night she was beaten, sexually assaulted, and stabbed to death nearly 40 years ago. Now, one of the men convicted in her murder and sentenced to 25 years to life is set to be released. Here with the community's growing outrage is Ed Day, Rockland County Executive. Ed, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here, Dan.
The details of this case, candidly, even me being in law enforcement, being kind of hardened to this sick, deranged stuff, are so disturbing, we candidly can't even put them on the air. What happened here? How is the individual involved in this crime set to be paroled after, if I read this correctly, was denied parole 7 times?
Correct. And he was on parole when he committed the crime.
40 years ago.
40 years ago. He was on parole then. Look, this is how this is happening. We are totally beside ourselves. We don't understand this. But this seems to be a consistency in the parole board's direction, where they're looking at older people and trying to move them out of the system. But they're forgetting one thing. Murder is a crime, as you know, of permanency. You with the same background, the law enforcement.
Right, no turning
back. The end of the day here, the closure that families have is the closure of justice. Justice has been stolen here. We are now in Rockland. We have seen Judith Clark and released. She's a murderer in the Brinks robbery. Kathy Bodine, also a murderer from the Brinks robbery, killed three members of law enforcement. We have this crime here where this 16-year-old child coming home from a library, working part-time, honest student, had a whole life ahead of her, had all of her tomorrows stolen in the most brutal way imaginable. And again, I've seen some horrible crime scenes in my time. This ranks up there as one of the worst.
Even reading it last night, I had a tough time
chills.
sleeping. Let me read a statement from the New York State Corrections Department about the case. Board members base their decisions on whether the standards for release are satisfied by law. Before making a final decision, the board members must follow statutory requirements which take into consideration many factors, end quote. What can Governor Cuomo do anything about this, and has he spoken out about this at all? He seems to speak out about everything else.
No, we're getting comments such as this, and if that was a piece of paper, I'd tear it up and throw it away right now. I've never heard such nonsense in my life. This criminal, Richard LaBarbera, was on parole when he committed the crime. He has never shown remorse. He has never taken any more accountability than the interview with process very early on in the crime, in the arrest stage. I don't know what the parole board is doing, but whatever rules they're following, they've just made their own case. This parole board must be broken down and revamped. This is an absolute outrage to the community of Rockland County and Pearl River.
Just quickly, I have about a minute left here. The mother, Lois, we saw that video from the beginning. It's being victimized again by this. I mean, this is horrible. You can't watch that and not get a bit choked up inside.
Right. Think one step more. Richard LaBarbera is a Pearl River resident. He may move back to Pearl River. There is no Megan's Law involved here. Can you imagine Lois seeing him again? I mean, how cruel can this be?
Oh, Ed, thanks a lot for your time. Ed Day, Rockland County Executive, appreciate it. The Supreme Court throwing out a big religious freedom case involving an Oregon baker. The owner here to react to the big win coming up next.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for your news by the numbers. The first number is 18. That's how many people showed up to Eric Swalwell's anti-gun rally. 18. The 2020 hopeful outlining his gun control plan outside NRA headquarters in Northern Virginia. The NRA mocking the Democrat, tweeting, "No wonder he is polling at 0%. Next, number one, Hawaiian Airlines tops Forbes list of the fastest airlines in the country. Southwest and Allegiant round out the top three. And finally, 100 years. That's how long this iconic tree has stood in California. It's thought to be the inspiration behind the Dr. Seuss book, The Lorax. It's unclear why the tree suddenly fell down. The city of La Jolla hopes to somehow salvage the tree. All right, Ainsley, over to you.
All right, thank you, Steve. A wedding cake discrimination case is getting rejected by the Supreme Court. The case involves an Oregon cake shop that was fined $135,000 by the state after its Christian owners refused to make a wedding cake for a same-sex couple. The High Court now ordering an appeals court back in the state of Oregon to reconsider the fine in light of its decision last year involving the Masterpiece Cake Shop in Colorado. Here to react is that Oregon cake maker Melissa Klein and senior counsel Stephanie Taub. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
The Supreme Court sends this gay wedding cake dispute back to the state courts. Melissa, what was your reaction when you heard that?
My reaction actually was I felt really happy. I felt like at least it wasn't thrown out, and I feel like we get basically another go at it and a second chance, basically.
Okay, so Stephanie, what happens next?
So next, we'll go back to the Oregon Court of Appeals. The Supreme Court decided to take this case. They completely threw out the original opinion from the Oregon Court of Appeals, and we're going to go back and make sure that this case, that Melissa has a fair hearing, and we're going to be trying the issue of whether the Oregon Court of Appeal or the Oregon Administrative Agency here acted with religious hostility toward the Kleins.
Melissa, you decided not to bake this cake. Tell us why and how that decision affected your life.
I mean, it definitely affected our lives. It was a very, it wasn't a very easy decision at all to make. We lost our business. It's been 6 years now, and it's definitely taken a toll on our family, and it's been very challenging.
Was it worth it?
Yeah.
And you ran this business with your husband?
I did.
How many kids do you have?
We have 5 kids.
Wow. How are you putting food on the table now?
Well, my husband, he has a job, and I'm trying to make little wooden signs on the side to help out, so just do what I can to help out.
What's your business now? Tell us about it.
Oh, well, it's on my Facebook page, and it's basically just custom wood wall hangings that, you know, people, I do a lot of Bible verses, and people can, it's just on my Sweet Cakes by Melissa page.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Now, Stephanie, what is your argument here? I mean, because the other side is going to say, you need to make a cake for us, you can't discriminate. What is your argument?
So no one should be forced to express a message that they disagree with. And here we're going to be particularly looking at the question of whether the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries acted with religious hostility when they took a look at Aaron and Melissa's case. So here the Supreme Court, in taking the case and sending it back down in light of Masterpiece, made it clear that they're not going to tolerate any sort of anti-religious hostility. And they're very clear that especially when it comes to state agencies who have frequently been overstepping their bounds, that the court's going to step in and make sure that everyone is entitled to their fair day in court before a neutral and unbiased judge. So if anyone is interested in learning more about the case, they can go to firstliberty.org to show your support for Aaron and Melissa Klein.
Okay, we did reach out to Rachel and Laurel, the ones that wanted you to make the cake, and we did not hear back from them. We would love to hear their side of the story too. Melissa and Stephanie, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have you seen this kitchen hack? It's being called the best method for peeling garlic, and we are putting it to the test next.
I can feel the love. It's unbelievable.
Okay, this is your shot of the morning of a peeling life hack is taking the internet by storm.
Very appealing.
Very. Everything about it is appealing. Dan?
Dan, it says your name in the prompter.
I'm studying the video. I'm trying to cheat here.
Because we're going to try to do it.
All right,
you guys watch because I've seen this at 5 a.m. Someone tweeting this video about how to peel and separate individual garlic cloves using a knife.
Yeah, it looks so simple like that. A lot of people on social media, though, in awe of the trick. Some are even calling it a culinary moon landing. Others suggest a pocket knife works best to get the job done. So far, this video online has been viewed by over 5 million
Are you
times.
cheating? Wait, so you just peel the outer shell, which is what I would normally do. But in this video, they're saying you just
do it.
So we're going to see whether or not it's as easy as it looks in that video. And the way that you saw the video.
No, this doesn't work.
You take a whole clove, you stick it into.
Look at that work. That's good. No, because that's not even
no
injuries.
right through it.
Hold
on, let me try it again. All right.
I was totally cheating, by the way,
that
watching
works,
that segment.
It does work. It doesn't work for me.
Okay,
oh my gosh.
Steve,
That's not the whole thing.
I
That's
got
the
it.
whole thing.
How'd you do it?
You just
You
stick
just have
the
to,
knife
like,
in the very bottom.
I did one.
And then you twist it and it comes right out.
I think only do it with your hands. Just do it with your hands. That's what I normally do.
It still has the skin on it.
I know.
All right, let me try it again.
Oh, it's
There, it works.
Now our
It works
fingers are going to smell like garlic all day.
I
I like the good old-fashioned way of
It's good for you.
I'm going to end up cutting my hand off if I continue.
No,
you
can't do that.
Dabbing it in.
We didn't sign any
very
waivers.
dangerous.
No, we didn't.
Now, let me show you. Know what? When in doubt, do it this way.
This is, yeah.
Here's the way to do it.
You got to include this in your next cookbook, Steve.
You know what? It's in the last cookbook. It'll be in the new one. Take the. Here's what we do. You take the garlic. You take the knife.
Oh, yeah.
You do that.
Yep.
I prefer headbutts.
It's done.
Now we all stink. That works best.
You know that you can buy
someone told
garlic
you buy
that
it.
is already peeled at the store.
That's what I do.
Someone told me if you take the center out,
Wait,
you don't smell
am I
like
getting
garlic
any credit
if you
for
use
doing
it.
this right? I studied. I even
I
missed
did it
my
one
own
time.
cue on the teleprompter in order to study.
You're good with knives.
Yeah, all right, gosh, this is so...
Hey, if you at home have
nothing.
done it and it worked for you, let us know what the secret is. Maybe
I'm not buying it.
Maybe our garlic is not big
I think
enough.
to prevent smelling like garlic, if you put it in your food, you can take out the core. If that's true, email us.
I think this set today will be a vampire-free zone. Just saying.
Someone told me that you rub your fingers on stainless steel to get the smell away.
Really?
Nice, right? Look at that.
Bongino right here.
A little credit for my good friend, Jax. Thank you, Jax.
We're impressed by you. It's incredible.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to do a little weather while we clean up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I'm flying home
All right.
today.
Well, it's raining here in New York City. Let's take a look at the map. Those are your temperatures across the country. We're going to see the potential for more rain in the forecast, unfortunately, for the eastern third of the country for the next several days. So bring your umbrella with you. We could see the potential for large hail, damaging winds, isolated tornadoes in some of these areas. And again, it's just going to kind of be yucky here in New York City until Thursday or Friday. There is your severe weather threat, unfortunately, and there are your headlines today. So warm across the south, but bring your umbrellas here in New York City. There in New York City.
Okay.
Now
Thank
you
you,
know.
Janice.
What are we going to cook? Now we've got some garlic.
We do indeed.
Oh, very
Some
good.
spaghetti.
We're gonna cook up some headlines.
Okay.
Over there.
Oh, I see what
Hey,
you
Joanna.
did there. Nicely done. Let's talk about this. I'm sure you guys have seen this video. If you haven't, it's pretty crazy to watch. 10 people are hurt when severe turbulence rocks a plane. Take a look at this. Wow, that is unbelievable. You can see the drink cart flying through the air, scalding passengers with hot water. And once it replays again, there you go, the flight attendant dressed in yellow. Her head smashed into the ceiling. At least one of the 120 terrified passengers starting to pray. Look at that. The rough air lasted 5 minutes on the flight from Kosovo to France. O.J. Simpson raised a lot of eyebrows when he jumped on Twitter and said this.
Now, there's a lot of fake OJ accounts out there, so this one, at the real OJ 32, is the only official one. So this should be a lot of fun. I got a little getting even to do.
Wow. Well, the parolee appears to have just threatened someone operating one of those fake accounts with a series of knife emojis. Simpson was acquitted in the stabbing deaths of his ex-wife and her friend in 1995. Wow. Okay, a home is completely obliterated when it suddenly explodes in the middle of the day.
It was like a sonic boom, like a plane breaking the sound barrier.
The explosion sending debris flying, trapping the homeowner in New Jersey. An off-duty police officer ran to the home to help and pulled the man to safety.
Right away, there's like a switch that kicks in, and you get into this mode where, you know, you need to help someone.
The homeowner is in stable condition. The explosion is under investigation. And look at this. A baseball player gets down to earth at the College World Series. Michigan's Jordan Nwogu getting a face full of dirt trying to slide into third base. He was safe and later scored as Michigan won 2-0 against Florida State. And the only one I see out the corner of my eye still working on this garlic is Steve.
I figured it out.
Got it. You nailed it.
I figured it out.
Oh, really?
I've done it 3 times now. What you do is down at the base of the garlic, you know, if there's a top and then there's a bottom where the stalk, where it's cut at the bottom, make a little cut there so that it's separated from the root, and then you just pop it out.
Oh.
But you twist it. As 19 minutes before the top of the hour, Fox News Alert, 9 Americans have died while in the Dominican Republic in the past year.
Gosh, this is incredible. This, as we learned, several teenagers got extremely sick on a senior trip to the Caribbean last week.
Griff Jenkins is live in our nation's capital with new information. Griff, how's the family responding?
Oh, you know, Dan, it's another devastated family, this time from New Jersey. Joseph Allen, 55 years old, from Avenel, found dead in his hotel room last Thursday after complaining about not feeling well. He was visiting the Terra Linda Resort in Sosua last week to celebrate a friend's birthday. I spoke with Joe's aunt, Barbara, who says she's heartbroken, calling this, quote, an unreal nightmare. And I just moments ago spoke with Joe's brother, Jason, who told me he's frustrated with Dominican officials' response. Joe's son, Amir, went to spend Father's Day with his dad, only to arrive to devastating news on the island. Jason says there was a rush to autopsy, and Amir, the son, was lied to by officials and pressured to sign documentation authorizing Joe's body to be embalmed. The body hasn't been released or returned to the U.S. Jason, Joe's brother, says he's working with Senator Menendez from New Jersey to try and facilitate that. Calls and emails to the Terra Linda Resort from Fox News went unanswered this morning, as did requests for comment from Dominican officials. And Joe is, as you mentioned, the 9th American tourist to the Caribbean island to die from a mysterious illness in the last year. This as Oklahoma teens on a senior trip to the DR say they got extremely sick from a mystery illness 10 days ago at that Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Punta Cana. As you recall, we reported last week 2 Americans have died at this property. One of them, Robert Bell Wallace, in April after drinking from the minibar, raising questions over the possibility of bootleg liquor. The Hard Rock Hotel told the New York Post that once they learned of the teen's illness, they took immediate corrective action, in adding that the safety and health of guests is their highest priority. But I'll tell you, it's tough talking to Joe's family and Joe's brother Jason this morning, because again, you have a lot of stonewalling, no answers, and what appears to be efforts to make it even more difficult for families there on the island. Guys?
Well, because it's a PR disaster.
It
and
really
you pointed
is.
that out last week, Griff, when they ran you off from one of the resorts.
It's just frustrating when you talk to these families and they want sometimes the simplest of answers, which is where, what funeral home is my family member in? What are the results of the autopsy? We've heard about these possibilities of pesticides or bootleg liquor. Can we see a toxicology report this time? Jason telling me about his nephew feeling pressured by officials. It's just unacceptable.
Well, Griff, remember when Natalie Holloway, when that happened to her in Aruba, people stopped going there. Same thing with this. When you go to a foreign country and then they're not giving answers, it makes everyone question, is it worth it? Do we want to go there? And if you do, don't drink the alcohol.
You know, that definitely put pressure on the tourism industry.
It's complicated because obvious tourist dollars are at stake. Dominican officials have asked for patience while they wait for these investigations to play out. The problem is too many investigations now are mounting and there are no answers.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a tough one.
Yeah,
All right.
it is. It's not just about getting sick. These people are dying.
Right.
All right, thank you, Griff. It is 1:45 the top of the hour. It is a Father's Day that Gary Woodland will never forget. Woodland winning his first major at the U.S. Open.
That was Pebble Beach.
A major champion, Gary Woodland.
Pro golfer Gary Woodland held off the 2-time defending champion Brooks Koepka to win the U.S. Open on Sunday in Pebble Beach.
Not only did he win, he did it while honoring the United States with stars and stripes on his shoes right there and patriotic colors on his shirt and on his golf bag.
Here now to reflect on the big win on Sunday is Kansas University's pride and joy golf champion Gary Woodland. Gary, congratulations.
Hey, Gary, congratulations.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Gary, tell us your story. How did you get here?
I don't know, a lot of hard work. I've been blessed to be surrounded by amazing people my whole life, and you know, we believed, you know, and sometimes maybe not everybody else believed, but we believed within ourselves, and we stuck with it. We had, you know, a positive attitude on Sunday, which was so contagious. My caddy and I had great energy going all day, and we were able to pull it out.
But it must have been so daunting because we were all watching. We watched all 3 days. But particularly on Sunday, we were thinking, you must have ice water in your veins because Brooks Koepka was launching an attack on you, and it looked like he was going to take over.
Right from the start. And, you know, he's been playing unbelievable, obviously winning.
He's an amazing player.
It's awesome. And Brooks is a good buddy, so it was nice to see that and feed off that energy. I saw what was happening right in front of me. You hear the noise. But I just tried to stay within myself. I was actually in the same situation with him last year when he won the PGA. So fortunately, I'd been in the situation before and tried to just control myself because I couldn't control anything
But y'all
else.
are good friends. You hugged afterwards.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. There was a lot of good guys there when I got done, which makes it special.
You hugged afterwards like you're hugging the trophy right now.
Yeah. It's hard to let go.
I know you've been in a series of hotel rooms since the big win. How far is that from you at all times?
I can touch it at all times. Yeah, it just hasn't, and that's what kind of makes it real. When I wake up and see it next to me, I realize it's not a dream.
And I know that one of the traditions is you take that top off, and the champion does have a beverage out of it. What was your beverage?
We had some vodka quickly afterwards Sunday night. It's going to get some good use in for the next year, I can tell you.
So when does it hit you? You just won the U.S. Open, man. The U.S. Open. What is it? When you wake up the next morning, was I just dreaming that just happened?
When I saw the trophy the next morning, I mean, that night there was so much going on and so much excitement, and friends and family there. It didn't really sink in. But seeing the trophy when I wake up, realize it wasn't a dream.
What a year for golf, right? Tiger
awesome.
at the Masters, you at the U.S. Open with a great story.
It's awesome.
Just
Thank
You know what I love about your story? You had some hard times. Your wife had a miscarriage, but then you had there.
Yep.
She wasn't there for that kiss at the end, but I saw you hug your mom. That was great. But what was so touching is you have so many layers to you and so many wonderful stories that have come out of this. We all watched when you were FaceTiming with your precious friend who has Down syndrome. Tell us about her.
Amy, you know, I was fortunate enough to meet her in Phoenix this year, and we got to spend some time together on the 16th hole. And when she was able, we asked her to play the hole with us. She got it up and down from the bunker. She made par, but I was more nervous with her playing that round or that hole than I was playing at any time on Sunday. She's an amazing story. She's got amazing energy, love for life, and that's what this world needs. We need a lot more of Amy in it.
So there you are playing a couple of months ago, I believe, in Arizona, and then right after the big win on Sunday, after you did some obligatory interviews, you FaceTimed her.
It was special. We've stayed in contact. She sent me some happy video on my birthday, singing me happy birthday. When I've been sick, she sent me some stuff. She's an amazing young girl.
Gary, watch this. This was her watching you win.
Oh, go! Yes!
That is awesome.
Oh, sweet. So those are her parents, and is that her sister?
Her parents and then a friend, yeah.
Okay. That's great.
That's
what
great.
goes through your mind when you watch that?
It's heartwarming. I mean, like I said, she's an amazing young girl. I've been honored to meet her and call her a friend.
Yeah. You and I actually met about a year ago at Folds of Honor down in Oklahoma, and I was lucky enough to give you the Brooklyn Award on behalf of Folds of Honor. A friend of ours, Major Dan Rooney, who started it, knew that you were going to make that putt, even though it was like 30 or 40 feet, because it would have wound you up 13 under par, because 13 is very important.
It's special. Obviously, Major Dan's been a huge influence in my life, and you know, he's got me to understand that freedom isn't free, and there's men and women that sacrifice and do so much for us so I can go out and play a game of golf and live my life under freedom. And he's understood that. He's helped me understand that. And, you know, I'm fortunate enough to wear Patriot colors with Puma. We partnered with Volition and Folds of Honor to give back to the men and women that sacrifice so much for us.
And 13 the number of folds in the flag, and that's why we call it Folds of Honor. We had Flag Day. We celebrated that on Friday out on our
And this
gear
is amazing.
That's so good.
And apparently the deal is because Volition was so struck by you wearing their gear, they make a big contribution to Folds of Honor, but they are doubled it through the 4th of July.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Can I just note, by the way, on the couch we have the best and the worst golfer in the world. Not you, Steve. Me.
No, I'm the worst golfer.
No.
Well, we're having a run.
Nobody can hit a slice at 90 degrees. It's not even physically possible, but I can do it.
You've got to tell us. We're all parents, and we're raising these kids. And how do we do that? How did your parents... How did you get instilled with golf?
How does
did
a
they
kid
instill
from
golf?
Kansas
What age were you when you started playing?
When I started walking, my dad had me on the golf course. It was just something I could do with my dad. My dad worked nights, so when I got home from school, I was able to go hang out with my dad, play some golf, play baseball, basketball, whatever it was. I got to spend time with my dad before he went to work at night.
You always loved it?
And I've loved every second of it. And so it was special to spend this with my dad on Sunday.
In your dream, though, when you were a kid, you were going to wind up in the NBA championships, not the USO.
Correct. I got asked if I practiced that putt as a kid, and I said, no, I was practicing beating Michael Jordan. I wasn't practicing beating golf.
What happened?
I realized I was short and slow, and I needed to find another sport, and golf was it.
What did your dad say on Sunday? When you won?
He was lost for words. He was tearing up. I mean, like I said, this was something that I think he's dreamed of since I was born, and it was special for him to be there.
It's been such a long road to get to this point. What do you keep telling yourself?
We're not there yet. We're just on the start.
Really?
You know, and it's special. Obviously, the hard work's paid off. You see some results, but we have a long way to go. I've got great people around me, and we'll continue to work.
My dad always said, don't forget from where you came, and you haven't done that.
No.
So thank you for being a good guy and being a good role model for our kids.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate that.
And thanks for supporting the troops.
Absolutely, 100%.
And law enforcement.
Go out and buy Puma. If you buy Volition gear before July 4th, then they're going to double the amount of proceeds that they give to Folds of Honor, and that sends kids to college who have lost their parents fighting for our country.
Gary, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
God bless
Thank
you.
you so much.
Let's pop that top off and have a drink.
Come on, let's go.
Who else is on that trophy?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods, Tom Watson, Jack Nicklaus.
Awesome. You're one of them now.
Thank you.
More Fox and Friends.